You ever stop and think about the most important invention in human history? We always talk about the wheel or a fire, but let's forget those for a second. Today, we're going to dive into an idea that's so fundamental, it's basically the invisible architecture of our entire world, the simple act of measurement. And trust me, this isn't just a dry story about rulers and scales. It's the story of how a revolutionary idea let us build cities, trade across continents, and create the very concept of a fair society. So, where did this all begin? Well, it started with this. It looks like just a little piece of limestone, right? It was found in an ancient Egyptian tomb. It's about 7,000 years old, and it's less than 3.5 inches long. This is one of the oldest balance scales ever discovered. It looks so simple, but this little stone, it's the seed from which entire civilizations grew. So the big question is, how on earth did that happen?
You see, that first stone balance was just the beginning. The real story, the one that truly changed everything, is our relentless human drive for more and more accuracy. This is a story of brilliant innovation, where tiny little engineering tweaks led to these monumental leaps in what we could achieve as a species. And you can see that evolution right here. The early model on the left, it's pretty simple, just a rope threaded through a drilled hole. But that creates a ton of friction, which means its accuracy is only about 1%, maybe even worse. Now look at the New Kingdom version on the right, a total upgrade. They brought in a low-friction metal ring, they fixed the suspension points, and they even tapered the beam to make it lighter. But the real game changer was this, the indicator needle with a plumb line. All of a sudden, you weren't just guessing if it was level, you could see it with incredible precision. That one innovation improved accuracy tenfold. And that changed everything.
And of course, these ancient engineers were masters of their materials. They were incredibly resourceful, using whatever was around to get the best results. Durable stone, like limestone and hematite, for weights that would last for generations. Wood for frames and rulers. Clay pots for measuring things like grain and liquids. And more they turned to metal, like bronze, for those critical, high-precision parts that made the whole system work.
So let's broaden out, because this need to measure wasn't just an Egyptian idea. It was a universal human challenge. All across the ancient world, civilizations were independently coming up with their own ingenious solutions, and each one tells you a little something about their unique culture and what they cared about.
Over in Mesopotamia, they actually turned precision into an art form. Instead of just boring blocks, they used this highly polished, super dense stone called hematite and carved their weights into these beautiful animal shapes, ducks, lions. This tells us that for them, accuracy wasn't just about function. It was something to be admired, a symbol of quality and trustworthiness in the market. Meanwhile, the people of the Indus Valley, well, they were obsessed with something else entirely: standardization. Seriously, the uniformity of their system is just staggering. Archaeologists have found thousands of their weights, and 83% of them are perfect cubes. Most are made from the same exact stone, chert. And here's the amazing part. Their weights followed this clear mathematical pattern, doubling in size each time. 1, 2, 4, 8, 16. It's such a logical, almost modern system. And then you go over to ancient China, and their innovation was driven by pure practicality. As they started using precious metals for currency, they ran into a problem. How do you weigh tiny amounts accurately? So what they invented these brilliant ring-shaped weights. The design meant you could stack them neatly in a little pan without it tipping over. It's just a simple, elegant solution to a very specific problem.
So this brings us to the big question, right? What was all this newfound precision for? Why were all these cultures all over the world working so hard to measure things more accurately? Because they'd figured out that objective measurement, that was the invisible blueprint you needed to build a complex, modern society.
Think about it. Measurement solved the biggest problems a growing society faces. It built trust. With standard weights, you could have fair trade between complete strangers. With standard volumes, you could establish just taxation, where everyone actually paid their fair share. It allowed for stable currency systems and even helped enforce legal codes. And of course, it was absolutely essential for designing ambitious architecture. This quote from ancient China just says it all, doesn't it? Measurement wasn't just a technical tool. It was a tool for governance, for social justice. When everyone is using the same standard, the system feels fair. And that trust, that is the glue that holds a large state together. It's the difference between rule by force and rule by agreement.
Speaking of ambitious architecture, What do you think this number represents? Less than 2 centimeters. That is the maximum error in the base length of the Great Pyramid of Giza. Across a base of 230 meters, that's over 750 feet, their builders were accurate to within less than 2 centimeters. That is an absolutely mind-boggling feat of precision, and it was only possible because they had totally mastered the measurement of length. Their secret weapon was the cubit, specifically the standardized royal cubit. They basically took a unit that was based on the human body, the forearm, and created an official master version of it. This ensured that every single builder, every quarry worker, every surveyor across the entire kingdom was working from the exact same blueprint. This standardization of length was every bit as revolutionary as the standardization of weight. So, what does all of this ancient history have to do with us today? Well, everything. The principles and even some of the actual systems these ancient cultures developed are still embedded in the very foundations of our modern world. It's a truly unbroken legacy. This legacy is all around us. The Egyptian cubit laid the groundwork for large-scale construction. Mesopotamian standards went on to influence Roman units thousands of years later. China's early adoption of a decimal system, that's the very foundation of how we calculate today. And hey, the next time you look at a clock, remember this. The 60 seconds in a minute, the 60 minutes in an hour, that is a direct inheritance from the base 60 system developed in Mesopotamia thousands of years ago. This quote just perfectly captures the whole idea, doesn't it? Measurement isn't just a part of civilization's progress, it is the foundation stone. It's the shared language of objectivity and trust that allows for science, for commerce, for justice, for pretty much everything we think of as a modern society. So from a tiny 7,000-year-old stone, an entire world was built. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What are the seemingly simple tools we're creating today? The code, the algorithms, the sensors that are quietly laying the foundation for the next 7,000 years of human history. What's our legacy going to be?